and the Detroit Lions. The Vikings, yes, they come out big time, 34-24 at the Mall of America Field. Many people said that Detroit would come out on top because they've been rolling. It didn't seem like that today. Minnesota's offense was pretty successful, clicking today. Do you think Minnesota, getting this win and the tough schedule that they have, do you think they can kind of hang in there and possibly make the playoffs in the NFC?
Actually, to answer that question, yes, I do. I think this was a huge win for the Vikings, primarily a divisional win. And for one now, this win could pretty much assure that the Vikings won't finish last in their division unless somehow they just completely collapse these last 6 games, which is impossible. But as far as the playoffs go, I would say this. I think that the Vikings could make the playoffs, but now they're not going to be able to go and do it with their controlling their own destiny from the standpoint. Losing the last 2 weeks, I call those tiebreaker games, very important tiebreaker games before the season started. Now it's at Seattle and at home against Tampa, in which we lost both of those 2 games. And right now, if you look at those 2 teams, they're clicking. They're still hanging around in the playoff race, and that's very scary for us at the end. But as far as within our division, I still think that the Vikings, now with this win against Detroit and at a 6-4 record going into the bye week, can still hang around. It's just, if they really want to make the playoffs, of their 4 road games, of course, St. Louis is probably the one that the Vikings could, if you were to say they have to be favored in the game, could be the only one that they will be favored in. But they're probably going to have to steal a road game somewhere, either in Houston, at Lambeau, or at Soldier Field. So it's very tough from that standpoint. But they can still hang around. It's just, will they? We don't know.
Adrian Peterson broke the game-breaking touchdown in the fourth quarter. That was just a complete effort from the Minnesota Vikings. What do you have to make? What assessment do you have to make on Christian Ponder, the signal caller for the Minnesota Vikings, and his play over the course of this year? And do you think he can keep up consistent play in this NFL season?
Well, today's game was a huge game for Christian Ponder. Today's game was going to be a barometer to see how well he could get out of adversity. I think if you look at all 4 quarterbacks drafted last year and how they're facing this year, maybe with the exception of Locker, all of them are going through an adversity period, and you have to see how they can bounce back, how can they get out of this. And the game today with the Detroit team that was surging at the time, this was a huge game for Christian Ponder. Now, as far as being long-term effects, I think the issue we had last year with Ponder when he started was consistency. I think, there was a few games where we said, oh, yes, he is the guy, and there's a few games that we go, uh-oh, what was you guys doing, reaching and grabbing him. Me personally, it goes back to draft night. When we drafted him, I was 50-50 on this pick. But personally, I think that his play is going to be huge. I think if he can play like this, he will do well. I think there's a couple of games I looked at. As far as some people are saying, is he a game manager? I don't think so, because he's averaging over 30 throws a game, so he's not that, but he has to make better decisions. I think confidence-wise, he was struggling there a little bit maybe over the last couple of weeks, but I think a game like this today going into the bye week was huge.
Let's talk about the NFC North foe, the other team that played Minnesota today, the Detroit Lions. They have been just all over the place this entire season. They have defined inconsistency, Detroit has, and I wonder, and a lot of people are saying, oh, this team is, fluky, and this is not the real team. Like people are saying, oh, that first year, last year was a fluky year, and, the Lions kind of got lucky, but now they're really not that good, and they're back to the same old Lions again. What do you think about this Lions team? Do you think this is the team, is this the true identity of the Lions, inconsistency, or is this just something that's just been a down year and just an unfortunate bad year for the Lions?
Well, you have to keep in mind of this. I think we have to put the historical presence in this. I think historically the Lions has been, a very bad team. I mean, like I said, I've grown up watching them throughout my life. But the one thing I say this team particularly can do, and I think that they'll be fine. I just think they have to grow up. The first and foremost, they have to grow up. I think a lot of the childish penalties, I want to be the rough, tough, change the culture thing type of, okay, it's fine to change the culture, but you got to do it within the rules, and you also got to be very smart about it. I think, I actually said that this division next year could be a fatal four-way. It could be a fatal four-way draw between every team in this division next year. The thing with Detroit is, the big thing Detroit's missing is a running attack. I think they have to find a way to run the football. I think if they can do that, and with their defense, just play smarter within the rules, this Detroit team can hang around. I mean, the talent is there for them to do this. This year, I think it's like I said. Goes back to the reference I made with the quarterback. You got to face adversity. When you come off a good season like you did last year, you got to be able to come back, and you have to be able to, how well can you do the following season? And I think, they may have got a little big-headed about it, thought that, everything was given to them. And now it looks like, 10 games into the season, hey, who would have thought Minnesota would be 6-4? And I think there's some things that they were given to, but, they just have to be able to, next season, just, come back strong and be, it's mental toughness. It's pretty much mental toughness. And some of that could be with the coaching, some of that could be with how the organization as a whole is together, but if you're going to change the culture, you got to keep it up. And I just think that if you're going to do it, be smart about it, not, make these crazy penalties.
Well, I thank you very much, Clarence, for coming on the program. Please follow him on Twitter at MidwestBoy84. We really appreciated your insight about the Minnesota Vikings game today, and we hope to have you on the program sooner or later or whenever you want.
Oh, whenever I can. But thanks, Cameron, for the invite, and hopefully I can be on sometime soon.
Thank you. All right, that was Clarence Sellers. As you could tell, Minnesota sports enthusiast. You can follow him on Twitter at MidwestBoy84. You know what? Let's take a quick break, but I still want your reaction to this unbelievable not double overtime, tied NFL game. The last tie was in 2008, 13-13 between the Eagles and the Bengals. That was the Donovan McNabb era, everybody. So, I want to get your thoughts on that, or just anything in general about this week. We'll have more news, updates, and analysis. Please stay tuned. This is the Cameron Sadeghi Show. So, as promised, we talked about the New England Patriots. We talked about the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. We talked about the game between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Diego Chargers, and the Saints and the Falcons. I want to discuss here the Saints' huge victory at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. 31-27. Saints. So, a lot of people saying, talking about how the Saints have no chance. The Falcons are going to go some people said they're going to go 16-0. Some people said they're going to just continue the 9-0 streak, but it didn't happen today. And I thought going into this, and I'm not lying when I said this, if it was going to be a shootout, I had a feeling Saints are going to win. Gut feeling. If it was going to be a low-scoring game, going with the Atlanta Falcons. And I not fortunately, I didn't really care personally who to win, but for prediction purposes and for people who care about predictions and really, really want to know in depth about it, they knew that, yes, I was certainly right about this one, kind of, sort of. Look, I mean, I look at this and honestly, the Falcons' defense, I think, was a little bit overrated. I think they came down to earth, this Falcons defense. How is it possible that they get this much credit? I mean, they're a great offense. I think special teams is pretty good. Defense, that's that's an issue. I mean, it's not a huge issue, but they're not elite. They're not a better defense than San Francisco. They're not a better defense than the Chicago Bears. So don't say they're the best defense, because I just don't think so. I have to say this. New England, I mean, not New, why do I keep saying that? The New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees, to me, I think the Saints are finally getting on a groove. Offensively, yes. Defense was atrocious by the Saints. My God. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, yes, they did make a few plays to win, but the defense is god-awful with the New Orleans Saints. I mean, yes, I know they gave up less points than the Falcons did today, but if you watch that game, it was pretty... Even if you didn't know anything about football, anything, it would have been quite obvious that the New Orleans Saints defense is just god-awful. I mean, I saw Roddy White Matt Ryan found Roddy White, wide open to the sideline. It's like, have you seen Roman Harper and his gray hair? I mean, I don't know if the guy's stressed out. I don't know, but gray hair usually signifies age. I mean, I know that's kind of obvious, but I gotta kind of state it in this case. It seems like this defense is too old, or they simply can't match up in one-on-one coverage. I mean, their man-to-man coverage principles are pretty atrocious. And then when they go in that zone, Matt Ryan just picked them apart. They just had a little bit more offense today than usual. That was the main difference here. For the game, for the New Orleans Saints. So I don't see this as, a huge Atlanta loss. But again, I didn't think that they're going to go 16-0. And a team in Atlanta, I feel like they're not good against sub-500 teams. I don't know why. How could you be... They almost lost to Oakland. We forget about that. Earlier in this year, they almost lost to the Oakland Raiders, everybody. Very fortunate that they didn't for them. They can't really get huge leads against sub-500 teams, and I don't know if that's... people say, well, in the playoffs, you won't be having any sub-500 teams that you'll be facing. So, yeah, you could say, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Falcons, they'll just get in the playoffs, won't go to the NFC Championship. But I don't know. I still don't think they're better than San Francisco or Chicago. I really, honestly, sincerely don't believe that. I want to see a one-on-one matchup between the Bears and the Falcons. The Falcons and the Niners, until I can make that assessment. So, I really think the Falcons are not the best team in the NFL. Even when they were undefeated, I didn't think they were the best team in the NFL, because I don't think they have a better defense than either Chicago or San Francisco. And when you get in December and January in the cold months when you're playing outside, you're gonna need that defense big time. And I think if Atlanta doesn't get home field advantage throughout